Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits Podcast, here to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Formula 86, and it is the featured cocktail in today's episode, as always. Start with a Jägermeister. We're going to add Jägermeister. 1 ounce. 1 ounce Jägermeister. Haven't had a lot of cocktails with Jäger in it. Peach schnapps. 1 ounce. Cranberry grape juice. 3 ounces. To make it healthy. Lemon juice. 1/2 ounce. And then 2 generous dashes. Bitters. Then we shake until completely chilled. Then we grab our chilled martini glass and we strain. Look at there, boys and girls, it's like we planned it. The Formula 86. That's pretty good. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. See ya.
You can definitely feel Jim Henson's influence all over this week's movie on the Scary Spirits podcast, the 1990 film The Witches. And that's not a bad thing. Another positive, Angelica Houston shines as the Grand High Witch. The whole thing has a hocus-pocus kind of vibe, and I'm here for it. It's not the scariest movie, but I'm not sure I will ever be able to hear the words, "Remove your wigs," without a tad bit of anxiety. Cheers.
Welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Greg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm feeling pretty good. How are you, Greg?
I'm okay. Thanks for asking.
That's what we do.
All right, Karen. Enough chit chat.
Wait, it's a beautiful day today that maybe falls on the way, you know?
It was a
Finally
fall-like
not
day.
Finally, not 100 degrees and 90% humidity.
True. It was a fall-like day, Karen. I didn't notice.
That didn't put you in a good mood? You're still just okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. Your standards are so high. I'm easily amused, apparently.
Karen, I believe this film was your choice.
Okay, enough chit chat. Let's go, Greg.
I believe this film was your choice, was it? Was it not?
It was.
And what film have you chosen for us this week?
I chose the 1990 film, The Witches.
Is there any reason you chose this film, Karen?
No, I just wanted to see it. I've never seen it.
It was released on August 24th in the United States.
Well, there you go. I mean, because it was released in the United States at the end of August, and this comes out around then, a little bit later.
Yes, this does. It comes out the 28th.
Totally why I picked it.
Do we have a cocktail to go with it?
We do.
And what would that be, Karen?
It's from Two Crumbs Up, and it's called Formula 86.
And how would we make such a formula?
You're going to need 1 shot of Jägermeister, 1 shot of peach schnapps, 3 shots of cran-grape juice, half a shot of lemon juice, 2 generous dashes of orange bitters. You want to freeze a martini glass ahead of time, and when you're ready, fill a cocktail shaker with ice and all the ingredients, shake until completely chilled, and pour into your cold martini glass.
Thank you, Karen. And this is a cocktail themed, I believe, specifically for the film.
Yes, it is.
So you really did your homework there, Karen.
I did.
Should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own Formula 86?
Sure, but I'm a little afraid to drink it.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure after they watch the film they'll want to drink it, but
sure, go ahead and make it.
Yeah, go ahead and make it. See how we turn out by the end of the episode. But you have to listen all the way to the end. Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
So far, Karen and I are both fine.
Well,
I'm okay. She's good.
Right.
Karen, might you have a brief synopsis of this film?
I do.
Go on. Tell us all the story about damn witches from 1990.
While staying at a hotel in England with his grandmother, Helga, young Luke inadvertently spies on a convention of witches. The Grand High Witch reveals a plan to turn all children into mice through a magical formula. When they find that Luke has overheard, the witches test the formula on him. Now, with the help of Helga and the hotel manager, Mr. Stringer, Luke the mouse must fight back against the witches.
Thank you, Karen. We are a match, and that's mostly
Pretty
okay
good.
Synopsis.
Yeah, the manager doesn't help, but whatever. Well, he doesn't help Luke anyway.
Well, he doesn't knowingly help. All right, Karen, tell me everything you really enjoyed and were pleasantly surprised by maybe in this film from 1990, produced by Jim Henson.
Which you can totally tell.
Totally. From the credits on, you can tell.
Yes.
Even before you see his name, it's got that font. It's got that Muppet font.
I loved Angelica Houston in it. I thought she was really amazing.
She plays the head witch, right?
Yes. I thought the special effects were really good. Even the mouse, when it wasn't the real mouse, was okay. Wasn't distractingly horrible. Looked more like a hamster, but that's okay. Story was interesting. I can see why it would be scary to children. Might give you nightmares. There's some interesting camera work in it. I especially liked a couple of times where they showed the mouse eye view, which I thought was nice. I wish I had a grandma that told me all about witches. It's a little sad, but I found it very entertaining. What about you? Did you like anything about it?
I didn't hate it. It's okay. I mean, story's fine. It's okay.
They remade it later, and I've not seen that one.
Acting is okay. Acting is actually probably the best thing about it, actually. Special effects are okay. There are some bad ones.
Yeah.
But there are some good ones.
But it's 1990. That was a long time ago.
It seems like the more complicated the effect, the better it is. The
That's
simpler the
true.
effect, the worse it is.
That's true.
And I'll get to it when we're going through it. Maybe I'll make a note. Oh, I know I will because I mentioned it in my notes as it's going on.
Well, there you go. Can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. There are some good actors in this. Like you said, Angelica, is that her name? Angelica Houston.
But the kid was good.
Kid
The
was
little
good.
kid. Yeah.
And even the actors and actresses we probably don't recognize. They're if we were from England or lived in across the pond, we would recognize them because they're prolific over there in sitcoms, and most of them were from sitcoms and like absolutely fabulous. I think I've watched that a time or two, but I didn't recognize the actress.
There's not much for them to do.
Even the guy from Downton Abbey is in it. I recognized
Yeah.
him. He's the
Mr.
chef.
Bean is in it.
Mr. Bean is in it too. But I mean,
All-star cast.
I've never seen a Mr. Bean thing ever. It's a British English kind of thing, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, it probably is. Maybe that's why they remade it. I think Anne Hathaway plays the head witch.
Well, now I'm interested. I could see that. Yeah, she's got the Angelica Houston look about her. That's all I got. Fine. It's a Jim Henson movie. You can tell, like you said. Anything you didn't care for, Karen? Or were very disappointed in?
I'm not sure who it's marketed to. Because if it's marketed to children, it's a little scary for young children. I mean, if you think, and then if it's to old, if it's not really made for adults, it's in that middle ground where I'm not really sure what audience they're going for. It's a little slow, I thought. It took some time and it's kind of one note. She's the head witch, everybody grovels. There's not a whole lot happening, really, most of the time. The kid takes becoming a mouse quite well. His grandmother does too. But she believes in witches and obviously
Spoilers.
Had at one point dealings with them. So I could see why she would believe it was him. But I think I'd have been a little more shocked myself. I don't know. Like I said, a little one note. She's the grand witch and they all grovel, and that's pretty much it. No sequel potential, really, except if they made it in America, because there is that
would
little
be a remake.
No, but
that's right. At the end,
there is a tiny little thing where they could
plan
maybe
to go to America. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that could be in my what I liked, because there is that. And it's kind of the kind of sequel potential that I like, sort of subtle, but there it is. Or not very subtle, but I think that's it. I mean, I think the grandma telling the stories, and I go back to kind of what I did like, that they made things kind of unique. Like witches always have to wear gloves and wigs and their heads itch, which wigs are itchy if you've ever worn one, Greg. The purple eyes, just things that the kid could really look out for. But all of the prep she gave him didn't do him any good. So that's kind of one thing I didn't like, is she prepped him. Like, how she told him to shower once a month. I thought that was kind of funny. But all the things that she went through didn't seem to help him at all. What did you not like about it?
I disagree with you that would be scary for children.
You don't think the mask?
It's rated PG.
Yeah, but when she pulls her face off,
that means 12. That means from 9 to 12.
But what age do you really go and see those? What age did you see Jaws? That's the thing.
But that's different.
I think. Some of the special effects, especially her face.
I was like 12, right? When I saw Jaws or something. Maybe, no.
I bet you were a little younger.
10. I was 10 or 11.
I don't know. I think there are some scary aspects in it. Her face thing, that especially, I thought that gave me the willies, and I'm not 12.
But she looks like a Muppet. It's not. It's not that.
I guess
scary.
I don't think so. The whole peeling the face, it's like Face Off and all those other movies where it's just creepy. I don't like it. But I don't like that kind of stuff. So, there you go. That's a me thing. And I thought she did a really good job pretending afterwards,
She did the best she could.
making it look like she was putting her face back on. I thought it was kind of scary.
I didn't think it was scary at all.
Just those parts where she was peeling her face off.
It's a mask. She's taking the mask off.
No, but there's goop, and it's not just a mask. It's stuck to her face.
Well, for her, it's a mask. It's a latex mask.
But it's not like one that you just, it's not plastic.
No, I said latex.
Yeah, I just want to make sure people understand. It's not something you pull over your head or something. It's stuck on her face.
Yeah, it could be, or even better yet, a silicone mask. Anyone who knows anything about masks, a really good mask is silicone. So, because you can emote through it. So but she's a witch. It's magic. Her face is completely different than the form it is in the mask.
Her hands are,
Hands are different.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what else didn't you like about it?
I don't know. That's pretty much it. It's a Jim Henson creature movie. It's a bunch of mechanical mice talking.
You're the one who's always telling me not to overthink it and to just go with it.
Yeah, I know. And I agree it is a little slow in places, but this whole film takes place basically in one evening.
True.
For the most part. There's a little prequel and there's a little, prelude, but most of the movie takes place in one evening in one location. So location's good. Sets are good.
I like how the doctor said, if you have an illness, you need to go to the seaside. Can that be something I liked?
Yes, that can be.
I would like my doctor to tell me I need a seaside vacation.
I was wondering what the doctor gave her and what was in that pill bottle. I bet I know. I know it would be today. Because I take it, I'm pretty sure.
I bet you do.
But anyway, doctor didn't tell me to take a seaside vacation.
I know. I need a new doctor.
He did tell me while I was taking a seaside vacation, he told me, well, I'm sure your sugar will go up while you're gone. Said, yep, it probably will. But oddly, it didn't, Karen.
No, you behaved.
And anyway, anything else? It's just fine for me. It's just fine.
Yeah, it is fine. I'll agree. And I expected more somehow. I had heard people talk about it and I'd read articles about it, how it traumatized kids when they were little. And I just thought, I've never seen it, heard a lot about it.
It's cute. That's how I would describe it. Not scary, cute.
I think there are scary bits in it. Not so much as an adult, but I think if I was a kid, that's the kind of stuff that might have given me nightmares.
It's kind of fun.
It's fine, like you said.
If I was 10 or 11 or whatever and I saw this, I'd had a good time.
Might be a good Halloween movie to put on if you have kids over.
Yes. It's in the vein of Hocus Pocus, I believe, even though I've never seen Hocus Pocus.
I would say that's fair. This is a little more, scary.
All right. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right, Karen, before we give our cocktail rating, would you like to hear a review or two from the time?
Absolutely.
Before that, though, Karen, I have to tell you, this has a 94% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb. What do you think Google users think, Karen? This is a tough one. Or I don't know. It depends on how you think about it.
84.
77.
Really?
Yep.
Tough.
77%. Like I said, I have two reviews, Karen. One is really short and one is about twice as long as the other. The first one I have is from Roger Ebert.
And it's Roger himself.
It is Roger himself. Dated August 24th, 1990, the day it was released in the States. And I'll read it in its entirety. The best children's stories are the scariest ones because to kids, they seem most likely to contain the truth. A lot of stories end with somebody living happily ever after, but they're boring stories unless there seems to be a good chance that unspeakable dangers must be survived on the way to the ending. Ronald Dahl's children's stories always seem to know that truth. And the best thing about Nicholas Roeg's, I think you say his name, the director, Rogues, whatever, film of Dahl's book, The Witches, is its dark vision. This is not only a movie about kids who are changed into mice, it's a movie where one of the mice gets its tail chopped off. The film opens on an ominous note in Norway, with Luke being told stories about witches by his old grandmother. They're real, she says, and they walk among us. But you can spot them if you get a good look at them because they have square feet. They're also bald and have pointy noses, but the important thing is they're not imaginary. The grandmother has even heard tell of a grand high witch who rules over the others and is the most terrible of all. Tragedy strikes. Luke's parents are killed in a car crash. He travels with his grandmother to England on family business, and they end up in a seaside motel that is hosting a convention of the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. Somehow, when you see the head of the society, Miss Ernst, played by Angelica Houston, you don't feel good about your chances of having cruelty prevented to you if you're a child. Houston, whose energy dominates the film, dresses like a vampire vamp with stiletto heels, a tight black dress, and severe hairstyle, and blazing red lipstick. The director often photographs her using lenses that make her leer into the camera, and she's always towering over everybody, especially little boys like Luke. Wandering through the labyrinth hallways of the old hotel, Luke stumbles upon a private meeting one day and discovers to his horror that the society is actually a convention of witches, and that Houston, the fabled Grand High Witch, has plans to turn all of the children in England into mice. Luke is, of course, discovered while eavesdropping and becomes the first child forced to drink a secret potion and become a mouse. That's not true, but
no, it's not.
Okay, Roger, did you
really watch this?
And it's here that the genius of he's the first one forced to.
True.
That is true. And it's here that the genius of the late Jim Henson comes into play, as Henson and his special effects team create a world in which gigantic pieces of furniture tower over the little boy mouse and some of his friends as they try to survive cats and extermination and save the children of England. I agree. There are some good shots like that. Some of the sequences are predictable from other movies about people who shrink to microscopic size. Others are fresh, including the way Luke is finally able to convince his grandmother he is her grandson and not a mouse. Lucky for him, she believes in witches already. The movie turns into a race against time, good against evil, and the director doesn't spare his young audience the sinister implications of the plot. This is the first so-called children's movie from Nicholas Roeg, that most unorthodox of directors, whose credits includes Don't Look Now, Eureka, and Insignificance. He almost always expresses a twisted, sinister sensuality in his films, and in this one, that sensibility expresses itself in his willingness to let the child mice face some of the real dangers of their predicament. The result is that the movie might be too intense for smaller viewers, although some of them these days seem hardened to anything. But Witches is an intriguing movie, ambitious and inventive, and almost worth seeing just for Angelica Houston's obvious delight in playing a completely uncompromised villainess. That's what Roger had to say. I have another review, Karen, from the Washington Post, dated the same day, August 24th, 1990, by Rita Kempley. The Witches is a wickedly funny final bow for Muppeteer Jim Henson, yet it seems sure to scare the award-winning children's fantasy. It focuses on a 9-year-old boy's occult adventures in Norway and northern England. The tale begins one stormy night as Luke listens bewitched to his imaginative, 9-fingered granny's curious choice of bedtime conversation. Real witches, warns Granny, dress in ordinary clothes, live in ordinary houses, and have ordinary jobs. They can be distinguished from humans, however, by their purple eyes and sensible shoes, which they wear to hide their lack of toes. Witches also frequently scratch their pimply scalps as they are allergic to the wigs they wear to conceal their bald heads. All witches hate children who smell like fresh dog droppings, adds Granny, tucking Luke into bed. The next morning, Luke wakes from a troubled sleep to learn that his parents have been killed in a car accident. He and Granny move to England, where she contracts diabetes and on doctor's orders goes to a seashore hotel to recuperate. Alas, their stay coincides with the British Witches' Convention headed by her Grand Terribleness, played by Angelica Houston, who immediately turns Luke into an adorable talking mouse. Now not only an orphan but a pest, the youngster perseveres. Houston, the highlight, rides her broomstick over the top as the Grand High Witch, who appears in public as the altruistic Miss Ernst of the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. Without her wig and mask, she is a wart-faced hag with a garden hose nose, a magnificently imperious brew of Zsa Zsa Gabor, Snow White's stepmother, Toil Trouble, Eye of Newt, and Bubble Bubble. Directed by Nicholas Roeg from Alan Scott's screenplay, the movie is beguiling in its way, and its hero is a worthy child, easily as likable as the kid in My Life as a Dog. If fairy tales teach coping, then Witches gets a poisoned apple for a job well done. There you go. They both like it, Karen. And one thing I didn't say is we talked about it being slow, but it's really quick at some points of the film. Like the beginning, we meet his parents and then boom, they're dead. You know?
Yeah, I guess there's just a lot of running through the hotel as a mouse.
As a mouse.
Yeah.
Special effects.
Yeah.
All right. What kind of cocktail rating do you want to give this film, Karen?
I think it's a 3. I think it's a good kids film. I didn't realize how much of a kids film it was. For some reason, I thought it was scarier than it was. I agree with you. I think it's a Hocus Pocus level Halloween movie.
I'll agree with you. I was thinking 4, but
I think for its genre, I think it's a 3. I think I liked it. I didn't not enjoy watching it. It's just not very horrific. Even Gremlins had those kills. This has very little of that. So it's the same. Hocus Pocus doesn't have a lot of scary stuff in it. I think it's the concept more than the actual movie, that witches could be real, walking among us, you wouldn't know it, that kind of thing.
All right. We'll give it 3 cocktails, Karen. This is not as good as Gremlins, though. And we gave Gremlins 3.
I think it's like a 3.5. I mean, we could give it a 4, but I think it's better than movies we've given 4s to. And I agree Gremlins is better. There's no question.
But we also gave Trick or Treat 3.
Oh, so, well, that's because I like hair metal. So,
It's true. I will say one of the things I did like about this, I didn't mention, is the soundtrack. There are hints of Berlioz's Symphony Fantastique.
Is there a soundtrack, or is that
there is not? There's never been one released.
I only noticed the music when Angelica Houston walked into the hotel, because she didn't look ominous or anything. She looked like a very high class guest of the hotel, but the music that went along with her made you know immediately that she was not a good person.
Yeah, and that music is very much like I said, Berlioz's Symphony Fantastique, but specifically Movement 5, which is called Dream of a Witch's Sabbath.
There you go.
Very much like it. I mean, it pretty much is it, with just a little embellishment, which I like, for that music. All right, 3 cocktails. Are you ready to get into it? Scene by scene, Karen?
Well, I guess before we even start, because we said it was based on the novel, so I never knew how to pronounce his name.
Which is a darker novel.
Yes, apparently. I heard. Yeah, I read about that. The correct pronunciation is actually Rual The D at the end remains silent as the grave. So, in other words, when you say Roald Dahl correctly, it rhymes. He was named after an iconic Norwegian polar explorer. But I had no idea. I always said Ronald basically because I never really looked at it that it didn't have all those letters in it.
I never heard him before.
Oh, he wrote, yes, you have. He wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the
Okay.
Giant Peach. He
Oh.
has a ton of
I haven't.
things that he's written.
Okay.
You know him, you just
Don't know.
didn't know that. So the children's book, they call it a dark fantasy novel, was released in 1983. He's a British author of popular children's literature and short stories, a poet, screenwriter, and a wartime fighter ace. His books have sold more than 300 million copies worldwide. He's been called one of the greatest storytellers for children of the 20th century. You know him, you just don't know you know him.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen James and the Giant Peach. I don't really know anything about it. Of course, I do know about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
And Matilda, and there's...
Don't know about that one either.
I was surprised it was released so late. I didn't realize it didn't come out till 1983. For some reason, I thought it was an older story. And you're right. Yes. Apparently, if you do search the internet, he did not like this movie because of the ending. He called it appalling. In his book, it's much darker. But if you think about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that's very dark too, the whole thing.
It is.
And I haven't read the book, but just from the movie itself. So I don't know. He has that darker sense in writing for children. So I don't know how this book ends exactly, but I know it doesn't end in the happy way that the movie does.
Mm-hmm. And I read that they actually recorded two endings. They recorded both versions, his version and
really?
The one they ended up using. And Dahl very much more enjoyed the original ending.
Did they do focus groups or something? Or they just knew?
Well, it's kind of, sort of. Not really. All right. Are you ready to go? Ready into
sorry. Little diversion there.
Which is from 1990. Rated PG for violence, frightening scenes, alcohol use, smoking, and foul language.
I don't remember the foul language. I think I don't notice that anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
But the rest of it.
Did you watch this on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did.
I did as well, and I got it for free.
Why did you get it for free?
I had a credit again, I guess.
It was only $2.99. So,
all right, credits. We learned we're in Norway. See Luke and his grandmother. Grandmother's telling Luke about witches and how they dress like ordinary women and work ordinary jobs. They are all women.
They are.
Work ordinary jobs.
Ordinary clothes, live in ordinary houses.
And Grandma says she searched for the High Grand Witch in witches, and they tried to get her when she was a child. And then we see she's missing a pinky. Doesn't really tell us how it happened. She
just marked, dismembered, really.
And then Grandma lights a cigar.
I love that.
And she tells Luke that witches are bald and how they hate all children. Then we get the story of a girl she knew named Erica.
They're making candles while this is happening, by the way.
As you do. Also, the witches have purple eyes and no toes.
Yes.
And that's part of like the Erica story, but everyone's searching for Erica. But we see her grabbed in an alley by a witch, and then Erica was locked in a painting.
In her own house.
In her family's house.
Which I thought was quite cruel.
And learned that witches can smell children, and the cleaner they are, the better they can smell them.
Yeah, so he should be rubbing dirt on himself. As he says, great, I never have to take a shower ever again. She's like, yeah, well, once a month's probably good.
Mom and Dad come in and say, bye. Whatever, we're going out.
They look fancy, like they're going on a date or something. And they say, no more stories.
Next morning, Luke goes to see his mom and dad in their room, but they are not there. Police arrive. Mom and dad are killed in a car accident.
He's got some drawings to show them. Apparently, he's good at drawing.
So Luke stays with the grandma, And they moved to England. Apparently, she has a house there.
Yeah, she just says where I have a house. So it almost sounds like they were vacationing because the parents
Yes.
were from America, the grandchild's American, and she has a house in England.
So then we see Luke in a tree house at grandma's, and he's approached by a witch with a snake, Karen.
Well, just a woman.
Well, it's a woman, but he
But then
recognizes
he
her as a witch.
realized, yeah, so you can see she takes her sunglasses off. She has the purple eyes. She wants to give him a snake.
Luke recognizes her as a witch and yells for Grandma. Eventually, Grandma arrives and the witch walks away.
So the witch is talking to the snake, tells it to stay, and puts the snake around her neck and says, "See, it's such a nice little snake."
She offers him chocolate, too.
Yes.
A chocolate bar.
Snakes or chocolate? What would get you out of the treehouse? Either of those?
I don't know. Not snakes, for sure. As long as that snake was out, I ain't coming down.
No matter how much chocolate's sitting
No.
there.
Nope. So then Luke's birthday, cut to Luke's birthday. Grandma gives him 2 mice.
They're very large mice. I think they're rats, but they call them mice.
And then Grandma passes out. Cut to the doctor saying she has diabetes. And she smokes a cigar as doctor tells her she cannot have any sweets and perhaps a seaside vacation would be good for her.
Yeah, which is nice. Diabetes is a chronic disease that occurs either when the pancreas does not produce enough insulin or when the body cannot effectively use the insulin it produces. Insulin is a hormone that regulates blood glucose. So there's type 2 diabetes, which is a long-term condition in which the body has trouble controlling blood sugar and using it for energy. There's type 1 diabetes, which is a lifelong condition where the pancreas makes little or no insulin, which leads to high blood sugar levels. Pre-diabetes is a blood sugar level that is higher than what's considered healthy, not enough to become type 2 diabetes, but getting there. And then there's gestational diabetes, which grandma definitely doesn't have, a condition that causes high blood sugar during pregnancy. So your pancreas isn't working right.
So then Grandma, Luke, and the 2 mice go to a hotel for vacation.
It's a nice one.
So then we see who we learn is Eva Ernst arriving at the hotel, and everyone is very excited to see her. And we see a sign. We have words to read. It says,
Well,
Royal.
wait, we do have before grandma leaves. She's no sugar, no cakes, candies, no cigars, and pills to take. Grandma's not very happy about that, but as you wouldn't be. Anyway, okay, yes. Miss Ernst arrives and everybody's excited.
Words to read, a sign there at the hotel says Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, 5th National Convention, Chairwoman Eva Ernst.
It's a little ironic.
What?
It's the prevention of cruelty to children.
Oh, okay. So then we see Eva walking past a painting in the hotel with the child in it, and she taps on it.
Yes.
Then she gets in the elevator and the child disappears from the painting. Then we see Luke exploring the hotel. He ends up meeting Bruno, sampling the food.
He's chewing the raisins off the cakes.
That's that what he's doing?
Yes. He says his dad is rich, but very tight.
Then the hotel manager comes into the room.
Well, a maid was in there. She freaks out because Luke left his mice, William and Mary, outside on his bed, and she freaks out.
Yeah, hotel manager comes into their room. He says he won't allow mice in the hotel. Grandma says she saw a rat when they came in, and Luke says the sandwiches have been nibbled around the edges.
Yes.
Which I guess is referring to Bruno. And they threaten to report him. Hotel manager agrees to let the mice stay if they stay in the cage and in the room.
Yes. So they threaten the health department, basically.
Luke and Grandma go have tea. Grandma sees Eva Ernst and thinks she knows her from somewhere, but she cannot remember where she has seen her.
And they're putting mouse traps out everywhere, which I thought would play a bigger role somehow, but they really don't.
And Eva watches Grandma, Luke, and Bruno and his parents very intently.
Yes, with interest.
Luke again explores the hotel. Hotel manager putting out mouse traps. Luke goes to the ballroom. He goes behind a dressing or I don't know, what's those things?
It's kind of like a room divider, is what
Room
I'd call it,
divider
but
kind of thing.
women dressed and undressed behind them in movies.
Yeah. He's back there and he's teaching the mice how to walk a tightrope.
Which I don't understand how he could keep his mice with him because they're just going to take off. But I was wondering if you could train mice or rats.
I'm sure you
So,
can.
well, The Witches, as you mentioned at some point, was the last, I think in one of your reviews, the last film project executive producer Jim Henson worked on before his death, with Jim Henson Productions co-producing the film and his creature shop designing and building the prosthetics for the witches and animatronic rats and mice that were used interchangeably with real mice, which you can tell in the film that they used real mice. And rats have been trained to appear in magic acts, music videos, movies, and television shows. Samantha Martin, a professional animal trainer, has claimed that rats are one of the easiest animals to train due to their adaptability, intelligence, and focus. So they're climbing ropes and curtains, and I can tell you from experience that mice can climb curtains. Because I was trying to chase a mouse out of my house because, as we've alluded to many times, we have a lot of cats in here, and it's a bad way for a mouse to go if they all gang up on it. But I opened the door and I was trying to get it out, and it jumped from the chair onto the curtain and climbed up the curtain. Amazingly agile when you're chasing them.
Then we have a quick shot of Grandma apparently passing out.
It's almost like Eva had some sort of control over her or something.
So then Eva and the other women arrive in the ballroom. They all rush in. Luke hides and watches behind the screen. And then Luke notices the purple tint in their eyes.
And Angelica Houston is wearing this cool dress where she kind of pulls part of it over like a cape, and then she flips it back and it's still part of the dress. It was very cool.
Luke watches as the witches remove their shoes and their wigs, and then
and their faces.
Eva removes her mask.
They all remove it, though. Kind of.
And right here I wrote, there are some bad bald masks in that room. There are some bad latex bald heads in there.
Yeah, they didn't pay attention to all of them.
No, they didn't. So then
you're in the back, you'll be fine.
No, but then we see them from the rear and we see the seams.
Yes.
And the ridges and they're not pulled tight and whatnot. Then Eva gives orders and she's upset there are so many children. She wants all the children in England destroyed. She
pretty much insults them. You are miserable witches. You're a disgrace. Everywhere she looks, she sees revolting little children.
One of the witches says it's not possible to kill them all. And Eva calls her out and disintegrates her
into ash.
Eva tells all the witches that they should go home and resign or retire from their jobs. She will give them all money to buy candy stores.
Yes. She's throwing money around.
Once everything is planned, they will all have a grand opening for all their stores at the same time, and all the candy will be treated with Eva's special Formula 86. Formula takes 2 hours to work unless 5 times the dose is administered. Then it works immediately. The formula turns children into mice within 25 seconds from the time they begin transforming. Eva says that at 4:15, she put 1 drop of the formula on a chocolate bar and gave it to a child. The child is coming in 5 minutes to collect more chocolate. Eva tells them to put all their wigs back on, and she puts her mask back on. And we're pretty sure it's Bruno, right? At this point.
I don't know why they need to put up. Well, I guess he would freak out and run away.
Then Bruno arrives, and they begin counting down the seconds until Bruno is supposed to turn into a mouse. Bruno convulses and shakes, and he transforms and shrieks down to a mouse in a cloud of green smoke.
Yeah, green froggy swag.
He runs away. All the witches applaud. Eva tells the witches to come to her room later to collect their doses of Formula 86 and the money to buy the candy stores. Then one of the witches smells Luke.
He smells dogs' droppings, she says.
And the witches start searching.
Yeah, they're almost leaving. Right at the end, one of them goes, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Luke runs through the room, and in the process, his glasses are stomped on. He does manage to escape.
Yes, he has a Thelma moment.
He breaks through a door and escapes outside. Witches follow him. Eva pushes a baby carriage with a baby in it down a hill.
Going towards the ocean.
Luke rushes out from hiding to grab the carriage. He grabs it right before it goes over the cliff, and then he jumps down and escapes while the witches chase him. Luke runs back to the hotel and into his grandma's room, but she will not wake up. And Eva is there and says that grandma is an old adversary.
Yes.
Even that doesn't really go anywhere. Whatever.
No, that's a good point. And I do remember thinking, I wish I had more of that story. That's one thing that I should have said in my didn't like is you see something happened, but I would have liked to have known what happened.
Witches grab Luke and pour Formula 86 into his mouth. Luke turns into a mouse. Witches stomp on his clothes and try to kill him. Luke runs away and escapes through an air vent.
I thought he did a good job convulsing, just like Bruno did. I thought they were pretty convincing.
In the air vent, Luke finds Bruno.
Who's complaining he didn't get his chocolate.
And then they find Luke and or is it Luke and Mary? William and Mary.
William and Mary. Which I thought it would have been cool if they talked.
But they don't.
They don't. They're just mice.
They can't talk. And then Luke wants to get back to his grandma's room.
Because he's worried she wouldn't wake up. He wants to go see if she's okay.
Luke and Bruno make their way to grandma's.
There is a funny scene because Luke goes through the air vent. Bruno struggles because he's been eating so much. He has to wiggle to get through as the mouse.
Yeah, it's supposed to be funny. Yes.
I thought it was funny. Kids would think that was totally funny.
So eventually they get up to the room and they hide in the housekeeper's cart. Grandma comes out of the room and notices that one of the housekeepers is a witch from her eyes. But the housekeepers grab towels that Luke and Bruno are in and I guess put them in Grandma's room. I don't know.
And there's a slight subplot where the manager of the hotel is having an affair with a maid. The only reason I even mention it is there's a small bit later where it plays into it, but it's inconsequential.
So then Luke tells Grandma that the witches are in the hotel. He tells her all about the witches.
He's a
plan.
mouse. Yeah. So he's talking to her. So she doesn't seem too much in shock about the whole thing.
Then we cut to, I guess, that cocktail hour or some shit. I don't know. But we see Bruno's dad mingling with Eva, and he
likes Eva
to the charity. Well, she's a fellow philanthropist.
Yes.
So then we cut back to Grandma's room. Grandma lowers Luke down to Eva's room, which is conveniently right under theirs.
In a mitten that she's knitting.
But Eva has a cat, and the cat goes after Luke.
Yeah, it's a black cat. So hold on. So we've talked about this a little bit in, I think, one of our superstition things, but black cats and witches. So back in the 14th century, black cats were actually worshipped as gods, but as time went on, their reputation quickly changed. During the Middle Ages, the black cat became affiliated with evil. The evolution of black cats being familiars with witches was rooted in the belief that witches were able to use cats for spying and other dark magic. Believing that witches could take the form of their black cat companions, the superstition that black cats crossing your path was bad luck materialized. But the black cats, all cats really, are mostly nocturnal animals, but black ones are harder to see. So immediately they were thought to be associated with witches and evil.
But then Grandma lures the cat away with the sock or whatever she has.
Oh, maybe it was a sock. I thought it was a mitten, but maybe you're right. It was a sock, maybe.
And the cat's playing with the sock.
And he's looking for the formula,
and
running around the room.
Then he accidentally knocks over a book, revealing the potion bottles hidden inside. Formula 86. Then Eva enters and she sees Grandma holding the sock outside on the balcony. Grandma tells her she is knitting something for her grandson and it fell, and she asks if Eva has seen him. Cut to Luke. He escapes the room and escapes under the carpet with a bottle of the potion or formula.
Wrapped in his tail, yeah.
And Luke gets to his grandma's room, gives his grandma the potion, and grandma puts Luke and Bruno into her purse.
She's going to tell Bruno's parents what's going on, which I thought this is going to go over well.
Grandma finds Bruno's parents. Grandma tries to tell them that he's been turned into a mouse. They don't believe her. Bruno tries to tell them that it is him, but they are too frightened and tell Grandma to get away.
They think she's cracked. They call her cracked.
Don't even hear Bruno talking. So then the witches all go down for their dinner. Eva sees Grandma, but Grandma gets away from her.
Eva gives her the hairy eyeball, I said.
Cut to the housekeeper, the one that's having the affair with the hotel manager. She finds the bottles of formula.
She's 86. In there to turn down the bed. Yeah.
In Eva's room, and she uses it as perfume, putting it on her neck.
So Eva turns away her assistant and tells her she's not invited to the banquet. So she leaves and says, I quit.
Grandma goes to the kitchen with the formula with Luke. He hides in a bag of potatoes. He escapes being fried and makes his way to the soup that is being served at the banquet. Luke sees a witch in the kitchen cooking the soup. Luke manages to drop the bottle of Formula 86 into the soup. The witch who was cooking it then tries some of the soup. The housekeeper is there now, who used the formula as perfume, and tells the hotel manager she'll see him later or whatever. And he goes to kiss her neck, but there's hair growing on her neck where she put the formula.
And since he dumped the whole bottle into the soup, they said if you take 5 doses, it happens immediately. So the witch is in trouble that was cooking the soup.
So Luke runs throughout the kitchen, ends up running up the chef's pants. Kitchen staff pull the pants off the chef. Luke escapes.
See, that's funny for the kids.
That is funny for the kids. In the dining room, Bruno's father really demands the same soup that the witches are having. And we cut to the kitchen staff cooking the soup. She turns into a mouse. And she tries to warn the other witches, but Eva stomps on her.
Yeah, that was pretty. It was a nice squish. And at some point, I don't know where, I think when he's running through the kitchen, they do chop off the end of his tail, Luke's tail, right? Do.
And we see all the witches eating their soup.
She really squishes her.
So then we see Grandma at her table, and she knocks wine off the table at 8:15. And then we see Luke. He makes his way to a dustpan. Hotel manager brings the dustpan to the table to clean up the mess. Grandma gets Luke out of the dustpan. So apparently they had this whole elaborate plan.
Yes.
So then Luke, Grandma, and Bruno watch as the witches eat their soup.
Yeah, they do say at one point, all the witches want soup. Oh, sorry. All of the women want soup. So we know all of the witches are going to eat it.
So then Grandma notices that Bruno's father is going to eat the soup as well. Grandma stops Bruno's dad from drinking the soup. And then Bruno pops up and tells his mom and dad that it is him. They freak out, of course. Then we see all the witches begin turning into mice. And Grandma points out Eva as the Grand High Witch to Bruno's parents. Tells them she's the one that did this to their son.
And Bruno's just talking to him. Hey, it's okay. I don't mind being a mouse. I don't have to go to school. No homework. Again, appealing to the children that would be watching it. But yeah, she points out Eva. It was her. And it does take Eva longer to change than the other witches.
Eva turns into the mouse. Then the hotel staff rush in and try to kill all the mice. Because they just think they're mice.
They don't even wonder where all the women went.
Yeah, their clothes are here. Where'd they all go? Where's all the naked women?
They're all dancing under the moon.
Then Eva finishes turning, and Grandma traps her under a glass. Grandma directs the hotel manager to the glass with Eva, and hotel manager whacks her with a cleaver.
Says she's extra infectious or something like that.
Yeah.
Contagious, I think she says.
Then Grandma gives Bruno to his parents. And then we see a quick scene of Grandma giving Luke a tag.
With her address on it, yeah.
Well, you don't know that.
Yeah, it has her name on it.
I couldn't read that.
Oh.
Then we see Grandma leaving the hotel, along with everyone else, rather quickly, apparently. Eva's assistant watches as she drives away out the window. Cut to Grandma's house, apparently sometime later, and a trunk is delivered. Is that a
I think it's a Louis Vuitton
Louis
trunk.
Vuitton? Yeah. Luke tells Grandma to open the trunk.
And he's built this whole elaborate play area for himself as a mouse. He can ride a train, a plane, all these different things.
And Grandma opens the trunk, and it is the money from the witches.
Filled with money.
And included in it is a book with all the names of the witches in America.
So they need to go to New York, he says. And then when they travel, they'll have the best of everything, first class, everything.
Yeah.
She's building like tunnels with the money for him to go through.
Right.
There's so much of it.
Then Eva's assistant arrives at Grandma's house, and she shoots a beam of light into the window, Karen.
And she's laughing. But I did notice she's not wearing gloves, and she's also wearing white, whether that matters or not. But she's laughing and laughing.
Luke begins to change back into a little boy. She also returns Luke's glasses and gives him back his mice.
So I think when she became a good witch, her features returned to normal.
So then she leaves to go find Bruno. Luke and Grandma wave goodbye from the window. Credits, the end. All right, Karen, what did you think of the Formula 86 cocktail?
It's better than I thought it would be.
I agree. It's pretty good.
I'm not a Jägermeister fan. And then I was just like, cran-grape with it. I just couldn't think of how it was going to fit together, but somehow it does. I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, pretty good. It's mostly cran-grape.
Cran, yes, it is. For the shot, I used only an ounce. Did you use 1.5 ounces?
I used an ounce.
Yeah.
And it worked perfectly into a martini glass that way. No, it's good. Mine is almost evaporated. It'll be gone here shortly, I'm sure.
The evaporation is going to pick up in a minute.
Anything we learned today, Karen?
Learned about Roald Dahl, how to say it, who he was a little bit, what he wrote about. We learned about black cats and witches, about Jim Henson a little bit, that you can train rats, a little bit about diabetes. Is that it?
That's it.
Not a lot today.
That's all I have. All right, Karen, are we ready to move on to next week's film?
Yeah, what do you got?
Oh, is it my choice?
It is.
Oh, let's see. What do I have? Oh, yes, Karen. The film I have chosen is from 2009. It is called Night of the Demons.
Night of the Demons. Why did you choose that one?
Well, Night of the Demons is a remake of the film we've already done, Night of the Demons, the original one. But our next episode comes out September 4th. And Shannon Elizabeth's birthday is September 7th.
Ooh, so I'm guessing Shannon Elizabeth is in this film?
Yes. Yes, she
there
is.
There you go.
Karen, I don't currently have a cocktail for you, but I'll have something before next week that I'm sure you will enjoy.
I can't wait.
Yeah, we'll see what I come up with.
Maybe I'll make it with all our listeners then. Once you list all the ingredients, I'll run to the cabinet, and when the music's playing, I too will be making the drink.
Yeah.
There you go.
That'll work. Well, I look forward to that, Karen.
See how fast I can make the drink.
Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Well, as always, I want to thank our listener. There's a lot of podcasts out there. We appreciate you spending time with us. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
I'm going to thank the great people of the Peach State.
Oh, the giant peach?
Sure.
I wonder if there was a James in there that listened.
I'm sure there is. Oh, there could be. Do you know the Peach State, Karen?
Is Georgia. Yes, I do know that.
So,
I have relatives who live there. So yes, I know.
Thank the great people of this great state of Georgia. And the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Hey, it's Karen, and I'm here to talk to you about getting social with us. Did you know you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast? Or check out our website, scaryspirits.com. If you have something to say, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening. Please drink responsibly.